Episode 8, The Isle of Joy. And there was nothing joyful about what took place here. And it's your boy Icon with a Marvel television review for you, going over that Daredevil Born Again. And before we get started, hit that notification bell, like and or subscribe. Check out my other reviews up on my YouTube channel. Help me boost those watch time hours. And let's talk about a little Daredevil action, because I honestly don't even know where to begin. So right out the gate, Poindexter's back. He was in a maximum security prison that he was by himself. They had his hands chained up and everything, but then he got moved from the max prison to a regular local prison with like regular people. And for some reason, he was afraid of that, which I thought was crazy. It would have been very nice, though, when the cops were walking him out of the maximum security prison, if we saw like a jail cell that they passed and the name on the jail cell said Trish Walker. So for all those that watch Jessica Jones, you know why. So that would have been cool. But anyway, so now he's in a regular prison with like regular people, and we're still trying to figure out why. Fisk, he ended up bringing Vanessa down to his basement where Adam was there, and he was just like, because of what you told me, he said, I can't look at his hands or his face, but I'm a better man because I didn't kill him. But he's like, I can't live while he's here, and if I'm going to be the man in your life or something. He was saying some simp shit. And then all she had to do was just let him out and just say, because she told him, she was like, he has nothing to do with us. All she had to do was just let him out. She ended up shooting him. Like, she could have just took the key, let him out, and then Fisk would, because Fisk is a simp. So if she would have let him go, there would have been nothing Fisk could have did about it. She chose to try to be the queen pin of New York City, and she shot poor Adam and killed poor Adam. And that's sad, because he ain't really do nothing. So now the two of them are like, they're madly in love. Like, and they're back together again. Fisk ended up giving the guy who I think is his illegitimate son, he gave him the title of Deputy Mayor of Communications, which pissed off the other chick because she was like, he's not ready. The privilege is real. And now we're moving on because Fisk is back with Vanessa and like, his love and everything is, is better. He's throwing a party now for some of the city's elite so he can get the money for his Brooklyn River project thing that he's trying to do. Matt now, he's home and he's with Kristen. And this was the moment where I officially gave up on Kristen as a character. And now, I don't even like the chick. Because first of all, she had the nerve, like she was talking to Matt and she was just like, oh, she was like, I killed somebody, Matt. She's like, do you know what that does to a person? And once again, I'm like, you didn't have to kill him. Like, you dead ass like didn't have to kill him. But then she was just like, oh, you know what that does to a person or whatever. And then he was just like, well, at least Daredevil was there, like to save you. And then she goes, no. She goes, Daredevil. She says, people like Daredevil and Muse, they're just scared little boys. And I was like, hold up. First of all, women are superheroes too. So why are we just like throwing the men thing like out there? And then she was like, I saved myself. Daredevil didn't save me. And I was like, hold the phone. Because first of all, if it wasn't for, like, she was tied up in the chair. And when she was tied up in the chair and then Muse was going to like, inject her with he's going to suck her blood out or whatever, there was a moment where she tried to get tough. And then she was like, oh, you coward. You're trying to do all this with a mask on. You can't even show your face. But I'm like, but you were still sniveling in the chair and peeing in your pants. So let's not act like, I was like, let's not sit here and act like you was about it. Because she was just like, oh my God. And then like, if it wasn't for Daredevil, like you would legitimately die. So the fact that she said Daredevil, like there's something wrong with her. Like there's legitimately something wrong with her. And then one of Fisk's goons showed up and then he gave her an invitation to his big party that he's throwing. And then when Matt tried to tell her not to go because it's all a setup, she was like, oh, watch your tone. And I was like, bitch. I was like, that's strike three. I officially don't like Kristen's character. Matt was just like, Fisk is using you, to get to me, and then you shouldn't go to the party. And then she was like, but I want you to come with me. And then he was like, no. And then he said, second of all, he's like, I wasn't even invited. And then she was like, oh, it says +1. And then he got mad and he walked out. So then he goes down to the office, and then McDuffie is talking to him. He cursed out a client that was being a dick, and then McDuffie was like, what's wrong with you, Matthew? And then he told her straight up, he was like, look, we're not doing anything. He said between the whole thing with White Tiger, the guy with the caramel corn, Foggy and everything, he was like, it doesn't feel like we're making a dent. Like, I don't feel like we're actually doing real justice here. He's like, yo, this shit sucks. And then he said that he's just struggling with how to deal with it. She also ended up telling her that Poindexter got moved into a regular jail facility, which also set him off. And then he got mad and he went down to Josie's. And it was nice to see Josie again. Like, she was there. She said she was thinking about reopening the bar. She said that the mayor's office tried to offer her a loan and she said the nay. And then Cherry showed up, and then he was like, yeah, McDuffie said that you were going off the rails, Matt, what's going on? And then after that, like the two of them were talking, they got into the little argument. And then Josie came back into the bar, and then she said, for Foggy, she said, let's do his final toast, because he never had his final drink. And then the bottle that she brought out, Matt was like, what the hell is that? Like, Foggy doesn't drink that. And then she said, well, he did that night because he ordered it and he was going to drink it, but he didn't get a chance to drink it because of everything that happened. So she was like, let's drink it for him and like let's toast on his behalf. And then that's when Matt got to thinking, because when he was thinking about everything that happened that night and the look on Foggy's face and the fact that he ordered that wine, Matt realized whatever the case was that Foggy was working on, he knew he was going to win. So he was celebrating early because he knew he was going to win that case. And because he knew he was going to win that case, the person who was going to lose that case wanted to silence him, and they hired Pondexter to kill him. So then once Matt realized that, like, he busted out of there like the Kool-Aid man, and then he ended up going down to where the gala was and where the party is. So now everybody's at the party, like damn near everybody but McDuffie, the whole cast is at this party now. Fisk is at the party scaring the elite. The swordsman Jack from the Hawkeye series, he brought him in and he was like, how much are you going to donate to my river fund? And then he was like, I'm not going to donate a thing. And then he was like, yes you are, because otherwise I'm going to tell people that you're the vigilante known as the swordsman or whatever. And then like he got him by the nuts. I guess Jack's gonna pay up. And then there was this other guy, this kid was taking pictures of Fisk, and then he sucked his Punisher goon squad on him. They ran up on the guy, basically beat him up, burnt his hand in hot oil. And then that's when the commissioner showed up and he was like, I'm gonna charge you with obstruction of justice. And they told the commissioner to kick rocks because they was like, we don't work for you, we work for Fisk. So then he's pissed off now. And then as he was walking away, he bumped into BB Yorick, she was at the party. And the same guy, who's now the deputy mayor, he comes over to her and he apologized. And he's like, can we just have shots and party? And I'm like, how do you two know each other? Like, their relationship still boggles my mind. Because the way that kid looks, like that, you do not look like you know her. And like, I need some sort of backstory. Did y'all meet in school? Did y'all meet in college? Like, I don't understand the nature of their. I mean, clearly he likes her, but I don't understand the nature of their relationship. That shit is confusing to me. But then she started talking to the police commissioner, and the police commissioner was just like, "Oh, I read that puff piece you did, giving the assault team, all the credit when we all knew it was Daredevil." And then she was just like, "Look," she said, "not everything that I write, I put my name on." And she said, if you want to actually put a chink in Fisk's armor and take that bastard down, she was like, help me. And then that's when she made the reveal, because he was just like, do you know that Fisk was the main murder suspect in your uncle's case? And then she said yes. And I knew it, like I knew she knew, or at least suspected, that Fisk killed her uncle. So that's why she has such a strong interest in putting the chink in his armor. Then the commissioner told her, he said, I have a list of all the people that Fisk, has on his team, who are all dirty cops and everything. And he was like, I can give you those files. So now the two of them going to work together, which means he's going to die before the season, before the season's over, because somebody was looking at him talking to her. So they know that the two of them are having conversations about something. Matt shows up at the party. He ended up, he bumped into Kristen, and she was being a bitch. And she was like, I don't know what's going on with you, Matthew, and everything. And then while she was talking, he zoned her out because he was listening to Fisk talking to the swordsman, talking to Jack. And then he was just like trying to follow Fisk around and everything, because he was, he's basically trying to just eavesdrop and trying to get the information on what the hell Fisk was doing and what Fisk was planning. Earlier in the episode, Matt actually went to Pondexter's prison cell because Pondexter requested his lawyer's services. And then he told him, he said, look, I can tell you who hired me, because Matt asked him, he was like, who hired you to kill Foggy? Why'd you kill Foggy? And then he was like, I can give you all that information, but I want to get out of here. And then Matt started laughing. He was like, what, you want a plea deal? He was like, you want me to take your case? But he was just like, no. He said, I'll give you all the information you want. He said, I'll tell you who did it, but he said, you just got to get me out of here. And then Matt, he took his head and like smashed it onto the table and knocked a tooth loose, called the guards and said that, he was hitting his head on the table. The guards took him to the ICU, and then when the guards took him to the ICU to patch him up, he spit the tooth out and bust the dude in the face, and then he used that to get out of the prison. That's how he got out of prison. And it's unclear whether or not Matt did that on purpose, because later on, Pondexter showed up at the party, and when he showed up at the party, Matt kind of seemed surprised that he was there, but at the same time, I'm like, when you bashed his face into the table, were you doing that on purpose to knock a tooth loose? Like, I'm unclear about whether or not Matt did that on purpose or whether or not that was just the circumstances or what happened. Because even then, like because when he bashed his face twice, and I guess when his tooth came loose, he was like, "Thank you, counselor." Like the two of them like had an understanding, and then Matt was like, "Fuck you." So then he shows up at the party. He's in the balcony, and he's got the rifle, and he's basically about to pop somebody. And then at that moment, that's when Matt decided to cut in on Vanessa and, Kingpin having their dance. And then he was like, look, I know, he told Vanessa straight up. She was like, I know, he said, I know you ordered the hit on Foggy, and then she tried to run. And then he was just like, he's like, just tell me, why'd you do it? He said, why did you want to have Foggy killed? And then he was like, does Fisk know that you had Foggy killed? And then she was like, does your girlfriend know that you're Daredevil? And I'm just like, y'all can't pull that. Y'all can't pull the whole we'll expose your secret identity, because the motherfucker's blind and no one's gonna believe that shit. So the two of them are going back and forth, because Matt's whole thing was he just wanted to know why. He was like, why Foggy? What was the point? And why was it so serious to the point where you didn't want to tell Fisk? Fisk was talking to Kristen, and he was just like, oh, does Matt Murdock tell you why he's so obsessed with vigilantes and everything? Because he was going to spill the beans on Matt. And then while they were all talking together, Pondexter basically started, he basically, did the ch with the with the rifle. I guess he was going to shoot the Kingpin. And then right before he shot the Kingpin, Matt jumped in front of the bullet and took it in the shoulder. So the bullet hit Matt instead. And Matt hit the floor. He was bleeding. Kirsten was like crying and everything. Everybody started screaming. Pondexter, he dipped. Vanessa was saved. That was how the episode ended, with Matt bleeding out all over the carpet. Thank you for tuning in. We have one more episode left, and I don't know if this is the season finale or a part 1 finale, and we're going to get part 2 later, because I know they shot 18 episodes and they cut it in half. So is the other 18 episodes going to be season 2, or is it going to be part 2 of season 1? I need to figure this out before the next episode, but next week is going to be the last episode we're going to get for a while until they decide to give us the rest. So share your questions, comments, and or concerns down below. So so now we got some interesting things going, because we got BB Rourke working with the commissioner. The whole thing with this kid becoming chief deputy mayor, which is still weird to me. Like, I don't understand that. And then, like I said, the whole thing with Kristen being a bitch, and then, why Vanessa decided to target Foggy. What's the whole point of that? So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of storylines that's weaving in and everything that's going in. We'll see where it all goes. And I look forward to talking about it and reviewing it with all of you. So check out my other reviews, because, well, right now there are no other reviews besides my WWE 2K25 video gameplay. I also have the red carpet that I went to for the premiere of the movie Locked. Go up on my YouTube channel, check out the video that I did for the red carpet, where we interviewed the main actor. We interviewed the producers, the directors, and everything. That was a nice video, so definitely check that out. As I check out my other reviews, and let's get ready for next week as we, I guess, conclude the first half of the first season of Daredevil Born, again, on Red Eyes Entertainment. Check me out on X, on TikTok, on Instagram, where you can leave your questions, comments, concerns, always on YouTube. Next week, we're also doing WrestleMania, so that's NXT Stand and Deliver. That's night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania, so get ready for the wrestling for all you wrestling fans. And I hope to have all this up, because the Daredevil review, because Daredevil comes out on Tuesday, I'm going to have the Daredevil review up on Friday, so I can get that out of the way so we can get ready for this wrestling. But like I said, I look forward to episode 9 and seeing where all this goes, because Matt's obviously got to put the costume on and now and kick some ass, and I'm ready to see Daredevil kick some ass all over New York City. So that was it, guys, so thanks for tuning in. So until next time, as Wilson Fisk tries to take over the planet of the elite, take care, pop your collar, because we're out this